It's a pleasant good morning to this week's final edition of the Star Good Morning Show. Today being Friday, the 12th of July 2019. We are broadcasting live from our Media One Center in Freetown. My name is Abdul Rahman Kamal. Top stories in the program. As part of the bank's effort in promoting financial inclusion, the Deputy Managing Director of Kel Commercial Bank, Emmanuel Bobo, has held a series of public lectures to schools in the Moyamba district to popularize the concept of financial inclusion among students. The Petroleum Directorate, Sierra Leone, and the Ghana National Petroleum Company has entered into a technical agreement through a memorandum of understanding. The initiative, according to the Director General Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kaba, is not unconnected to lessons learned and experience sharing in the areas of technical, legal, administrative, and institutional capacity building. Don Bosco Fambu, one of the leading organizations in child protection, has on Thursday, July 11, 2019, launched a nationwide campaign titled Enough is Enough to Stop Child Abuse and the Unfair Treatment Meted Out from Members of the Public. All these including sport will be part of the program. My guest in the studio is Amara Salami Kanu. He is the Executive Director of Climate Change Forum Network. He is here to talk to me on the overview of the climate system in Sierra Leone and the position of the national determined contribution in line with the Paris Declaration, and also this year's focus on the climatic change in the country. Good morning. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, and thank you for having me in the program.
Great. What's naturally the position of Sierra Leone in terms of mitigating climatic disasters?
When you look at Sierra Leone, we are placed in the west coast of Africa, and we are within the tropics, you understand, and the climatic has been the monsoon climate. So our mechanism in terms of adapting to climate change is so low, because when you look at, because when IPCC, they were doing the annual report in 2014 that ranked us as the top most vulnerable country in the whole world, and they look at thematic sectors. Understand, one, our response measures to issues of disaster.
Are they adequate?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's not adequate, you understand, because our response needs to be proactive. We should not be discussing about the things when there is a disaster. That's the time you see agencies passing around and try how to strategize.
The fire brigade way of response.
Yeah, true. Because if we have a proactive mechanism, you understand, when we discuss climate change issues, we have that national platform, you understand, like a council. This is what we have been calling for. We are not calling for the government of Australia to create an office, but let's have that national platform where we discuss ideas. We try to monitor, evaluate funds that have been coming to this country purposely for climate change issues. Because when you look at the impact, it's very more low. You understand? So how can we bridge the gap? How can we change the number retained? Unless we have a national climate change council. But as I speak, we can only adapt to climate change because the mitigation aspect is very expensive. You talk about technological transfer, and you know where we are in terms of our economy now. So our adaptation mechanism has to be strengthened. This is why we are using this opportunity. That NAP, the National Adaptation Plan, the strategies under the NAP is inconsistent with the midterm development plan, the Cluster 8, you understand? Because the Cluster 8 talks about emergency response, but the strategies are not that proactive enough to able to respond if there is any issue like flooding. It's like if there is any issue like landslide, unless and until we have those strategies being synchronized with the government development plan, because the midterm plan is a 5-year plan, but we still have more time to actually see how we can quench these strategies. Because as we speak, if the strategies under the NAP is inconsistent with the midterm plan, then the government will not prioritize it. Okay. And we don't want to reach at that stage where the vulnerability of Sierra Leone will be so much strong to the extent that people are going to lose their lives again. We don't want to reach at that stage. So we still have time, and we are not yet deep into the rains. So we can still strategize ourselves. Now we have the new minister there. Let him reconsider this approach, that the NAP, the strategies under that NAP is inconsistent with the government priority.
Okay. Mr. Kanu, stay with me in the studio. I'll come back to you. Let's move along with the program. Remember, the Star Good Morning Show is proudly sponsored by Rokel Commercial Bank.
SimCorp allow old and young to make deposit and withdraw cash from their account at any time and anywhere. With Rokel Commercial Bank SimCorp, you can send and receive money at any place and any time. Rokel Commercial Bank don't make life better for we all.
Welcome back from that commercial break. We move along with the program. As part of the bank's efforts in promoting financial inclusion, the Deputy Managing Director of Rokel Commercial Bank, Emmanuel Bobo, has held a series of public lectures to schools in the Muyamba district to popularize the concept of financial inclusion among students. Here is a report.
If you don't go to Rokel Commercial Bank to open an account now, which means you want yourself to be left behind. Who wants to be left behind? Nobody! So we should all grow together, right? Yeah! And besides, if you have your Rokel Commercial Bank ID card, I believe that is a morale, right? Yes. How many of you have got passports? National passport? Wow. How many of you have got national ID cards? How many of you have got voter ID cards? Few. Okay, now, with Rokel Commercial Bank, you have an authentic identity card, right? There are times it's good for you to be identified. Not so. You will one day find yourselves in positions where you will be asked to identify yourselves. And in that case, you can easily brandish your Rokel Commercial Bank card.
The price you pay is that of financial inclusiveness. You want to be part of the system. It's an history-making day today. You too sometime will tell your kids, will tell your parents that we were there when the DMD of Rokel Commercial Bank and team went to St. Michael's site. They're talking about zero balance. I know most of you not open your account with zero balance. You have money. I cannot underestimate you guys. So far so good, financial inclusion.
Well, as part of the bank's effort in promoting financial inclusion, pretty much important for the economic behavior of citizens in the states. I'll come back to Amara. Let me welcome another studio guest. Musa Falilu is acting PRO for the information system. They have the commenced Society Week with the theme Technology, a Stronghold for National Development. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Abdul.
Thank you. Let's continue to look at where Sierra Leone's position on the national determined contribution in line with the Paris Accord. How much as a country have we been able to harness our commitment in ensuring that we mitigate all of those climatic behavior before the worst comes for us?
Yeah, in 2015 there was a conference held in Paris. We are in 186 countries across the world signed to the Paris Accord. The objective of that accord was to lower our emission rate to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And of course, this is the ambitious goal of the global movement in terms of tackling climate change. And the UN SDG 13 talks about climate action. So our action within all this, we were asked as a country to develop what we call the INDC, our intended national determined contribution. So when we signed the Paris Accord, that led us to now the national determined contribution. You understand? Our national determined contribution outlined the strategies of how we are going to tackle climate change. But the problem, the coordination has not been there over the past years. So that's why you see a single institution want to monopolize everything. When you look at climate change, it's a cross-cutting issue. The fourth estate has a big role to play. When you go to countries like Ghana, you understand, in terms of information dissemination, you understand, the fourth estate has the role to play. That's why we need that national platform. We have discussed on these ideas. So over the past years, we have been missing this goal. Although we are not a major contributor to the emission rate globally, but we are the third most vulnerable country.
Mr. Kano, perhaps I see the looming confusion in addressing accompanying challenges as with climate change on the basis that there is no informed statutory body that is actually responsible to handle climate change?
No, I mean, I mean,
No,
there
let
is-
me
yeah.
let me come.
Okay.
Let's look at the role of the EPA. Couple of days back, I'm sorry, they held a workshop for journalists, training them on what they refer to as national adaptation to climate change.
Okay.
We see the role of the ONS, Office of National Security. It's an ad hoc arrangement. It is not a stand-alone institution that is actually responsible to mitigate the impact of climate change, but rather they have that coordinating role to see how they can put institutions together to
Yeah.
address some of these things when
Yeah,
there are
true.
occurrences. So the question that really comes to mind: who has the competence, the statutory competence to actually address issues bordering on climate change?
The institution that have that mandate, to be honest with you, is the Meteorological Agency, because they are hosting the focal point for climate change.
But you don't seem to be prominent.
No, they over the past years they have been suffering from funding, to be honest with you. Because when you look at meteorology, there's no way you can strategize for climate change when you don't have reliable climate information. Because the information there will guide you. And how an agency like that one can get reliable information if they don't have the required technology to determine, you understand, the changes in the climate system. If you are passing by Parliament, you can see a big ball. That ball is called a radar.
It has been there till whenever.
I mean, it was destroyed during the war. But we really want to thank this government, because it is unprecedented that that agency have been supported with 1.3 billion loans. But the government still have to do more, because when you look at the agency, they lack the human resource. We only have 2 certified trained meteorologists in the whole country of Sierra Leone. 2 certified trained ones. So unless they have the requisite staffs, they have the right equipment to do the forecast. It's not about you talking about climate change. Let's let it be data driven, right? Because if you want to if you want to inform the public that rains, we are going to experience flood in so time, the radar will give you an accurate information on as to the time, the day, and the hour the disaster is going to strike. So if the government of Sierra Leone can take this thing very serious to support that agency, like $5 million United States dollar to buy that radar, because if we have the radar,
Mr. Kanu,
then our forecasting will be reliable. Our forecasting will actually help us to strategize in tackling climate change.
Mr. Kanu, I'm sorry to ask this question.
Yeah.
For those institutions pretending to be controlling or putting measures to mitigate climate change, in your view, do you think they have the required capacity?
To be honest with you, we lack the requisite capacity to tackle climate change. But what we need to do as a nation, let's have a national platform where every single institution within.
And why is the government reluctant to heed to the call of having a national platform?
No, the government is not reluctant. Our style of advocacy is about recommendation. It's not about budgeting, because we've signed the Paris Accord that have shown it clearly that we have the political will. But the only thing we need to do now, if we have that national platform, you understand, the council will comprise of the political will that will comprise of the president, who is going to be the chairman of climate change.
Well, I'm saying
understand?
Ultimate attention has not been given to that call.
This is why we'll continue to amplify our voice unless government see the necessary strides why they should actually create that council.
But government should have been informed as to what really ensued with the mudslide.
Yeah, true. I mean,
To have placed the country in a better position to say,
That's the problem.
We must act ready to ensure
True,
we don't have a
true.
recurrence of all of these.
True, that's the problem we are faced with as a nation. Our institutions have not been embarking on research. When we are hit by that landslide, 6 hours of rains, we are in 1,000 lives we are lost. Properties worth
More than.
Yeah, true. Properties worth $30 million United States dollar from the World Bank assessment. There was no scientific research to actually guide us. What was the actual cause of that landslide? It's why we are still emphasizing that the directors of science and technology should go beyond ICT, because that institution should be embarking on scientific research. You understand? When we have the clear call why that landslide occur, the reasons or the result of that landslide, then it can guide us for further projections. Because now, as I speak, areas are also prone to the issues of this landslide and mud flow. Geological activities are happening, you understand? So unless and until we have that scientific investigation, you understand, because it comprises of various components, the agronomy aspects, the meteorology aspects, the geological aspects. So let's have those fact findings. But the problem we have in this country over the years, and now as we speak, our institutions have not been embarking on research. So if our institutions are not focusing themselves on research, we cannot get the facts. Who will continue to talk about climate change issues, but what was the cause? You know, there was a seismic projection during that time. You understand, a sound. There was a sounding, right? And the issues of the national land policies is a concern to us. Mm-hmm. The policies are there, but the enforcement of the law is the problem. Okay. Now you are seeing massive construction activities happening within the hills. Mm-hmm. Are we proactive enough, you understand, to change the mindset? Are we proactive enough to embark on massive advocacy and awareness so the people can understand that their attitude and behavior towards the environment is actually causing all of these problems? We are not being embarking on this one. So this is an opportunity that we have, and we want to say thank to you and Star TV as a whole for giving us this platform to educate the public that for this year it's going to be worrisome. The forecasting is out. So what are we doing as a nation? I've been advocating on this one that government has to.
So the forecasting for this year is not favorable at all.
To be honest with you, climatologically is after 2 years. For this year, we are going to experience massive downpour of rain, which is going to happen within August to September. So our preparation mechanism has to be very robust, or less people are going to suffer again, especially those who are living within the vulnerable, the coastal lines, you understand. So this is an opportunity we have, because I'm seeing it as an opportunity, although it's a problem, that we have to strengthen our mechanism. We have to support our institutions for them to deliver, because if they don't deliver, then to be honest with you, the new direction will be undermined. And climate change has that tendency to undermine the development against we are doing, but we don't discuss about it. Okay. Or only wait until that day when we are hit by disaster. That's the time you see agencies, departments parting around for funds. You understand?
Okay, I'll come back to you. This is enough for the attention of members of officials at the Office of National Security. If you guys are watching this program, and how much you can pay good attention to these by way of averting some of these impending dangers. Let me bring in Musa Fadido. Is a acting public relation officer for the IS Society. You commence Society Week with the theme "Technology: A Stronghold for National Development." What really informed this theme?
It's a good platform, Mr. Abdullah, because there's a lot of challenges in this nation as a whole, Sierra Leone. Technology is very, very important in terms of human capital, because it's not necessary that, like, if they want to do something that is pertaining to technology, to bring expertise from outside nations to bring it in Sierra Leone here. It's not necessary. We are here, it's just as the nation to improve our credibility so that we can structure the technological aspect. Bringing Information System Society at High Palm University of Sierra Leone. I'm in Information System. Second year, I'm doing software engineering. Information System Week is a good week for us, because this department is one of the departments at High Palm is very, very strong. Over how many years there is no leader that is leading information system and technology. So, have we seated for a long time? We organize among ourselves that no, this is not good for us, because here is the department. Even if we get any missing grade or any other issues, it should be somehow disastrous for us to be found. So what we did.
Fadido, apologies. Let's be honest. We've seen under the new direction, efforts have been made for the establishment of the Directorate of Information Communication Technology, headed by no less a person, Dr. David Senge. Great. Is that much not pleasant by way of addressing some of this pessimism that you express now that the government is not pretty much focusing attention on ICT?
ICT, the government is paying attention to ICT, but when you look at ICT, is a wide area of studies. That is why even if you go to university, you want to study technology, there is areas that you need to specialize on. But it's only salon that when you tell somebody that I'm doing technology, he thought giving you TV or whatever phones is a wide area. Now, if I'm doing information system, you are doing information technology, it's different areas of career path. But sometimes people think if you are doing technology, you can cover the whole of the ICT aspect. No. The government is doing well.
So it's a branch of specialization.
There's branches of special because it's a very technical areas. You might have specialized in a particular area. Now, if you want to become a programmer, you might have know the modules that are being involved. You want to become a networker, you must have know the modules that are being involved. But people here, whenever you tell them that we are doing technology, they thought you know everything about technological aspect, which is not. Technology is very wide.
The wholing of the society week. Its importance.
It's very, very important. In fact, we'll be getting a representative from State House to ensure that the ICT, the Information System Society, it has been recognized to the institution.
So what message do you intend to actually pass that will impact the mindset of government?
The mindset of government, because we'll be getting is a various representative telling our college students on the various area of study. That is why we call it a career forum. Now, career forum is that because people are going to university, they are not somehow they are not doing any proper research to know exactly where am I going to study. As for me, before going to IPA,
that will tell you with the job market.
Sometimes, because you cannot just go to university because you are seeing your colleagues going there. You go to university for purpose. Either you ensure that you go through the university or the university go through you. Don't allow university to go through you. Go through the university so that you can be able to prove it wherever you are. As for me, I'm doing software. That's why we have information system, we have information technology. I'm doing software anyway. So, having graduated, I'm going to be doing programming. That if you need anything that for me to create a website for you, doing another programs for you, I can do that one for you. Instead, you hire somebody to do it for you. You have people in this nation that they can do it. It's just that to improve on their work that they have started.
So what is going to be the collective call for the IS Society at IPAM?
Calling upon all our colleagues that have been part of these departments of information system and technology. We'll be there on Saturday to ensure that we need this particular facility because there's a lot of challenges when you're in technology. In this nation, there's a lot of challenges. Here is a nation that you are seeing people doing technology without laptop, without a smartphone. How can you? Is someone look? It's not nice because it's a great challenge doing technology without laptop. So we want to embark on some of those things so that our colleagues will be safe. That is why we bring out Information System Society to ensure that our brothers and sisters that be enrolled at IPAM, more especially Information System and Technology, to ensure that we be guided in a good way.
Is the intention to see how you can harness your energy with the Department of the Directorate of ICT at State House under Dr. Senge?
Yes, we are working in line with Dr. Senge because what we are looking at here is that technology is one of the wide areas. I think David Senge is doing well, he's doing greatly, but he needs some of an assistance because I think after some years, will be a potential that we can step in. So we are doing this to become, because that is why we are doing database. When we are doing database, we call something that we call candidate key. Now, for instance, when people are standing for election, you call this my candidate because it's a potential to be a winner. So we are candidate for tomorrow to step in what David Senge is doing.
Perhaps even surpass what Dr. Senge is
more than that. That's what
we're looking for. Stay with me in the studio. Let's look at a point where the Petroleum Directorate of Sierra Leone and the Ghana National Petroleum Company has entered into a technical agreement through a memorandum of understanding. The initiative, according to the Director General Petroleum Directorate, Timothy Kaba, is not unconnected to lessons learned and experience sharing in the area of technical, legal, administrative, and institutional capacity building for the oil and gas sector. This was how the event unfolded at the headquarters of Petroleum Directorate at Kintom on Thursday, 11 July 2019.
Making a statement, the Director General, Ghana National Petroleum Company, Dr. Sapong, said the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding is strategic for the two government institutions that fully integrate views of the value chains in the oil and gas sector.
To be able to work together to see how best our two institutions can have a win-win situation, in the sense that we can share our experiences with you, as well as learning from your terrain to improve on the things that we do and do best. Indeed, I think this has come at the right time, as your country, Sierra Leone, is making major strides towards exploration and eventually production of hydrocarbons. This will mean the upstream. Of course, through this collaboration, if there's anything we can offer or assist to link you to other institutions in Ghana in terms of the midstream as well as the downstream, for you to have a fully integrated view of the value chain, we should be ready, and we are ready to assist you in this regard.
The Director General, Timothy Kabar, in his remarks expressed optimism that with the growth and development of the petroleum unit in the country, will realize full economic viability of the sector under the current government's new direction. Timothy Kabar intimated that the offshore waters of Sierra Leone contains proven petroleum systems, the understanding of which is supported by an inventory of extremely high quality geographical and geophysical data, with much of this data being made available for the first time. He further that the country's fourth licensing round has generated significant levels of interest from the international oil and gas industry, as revealed by Jonathan Kopos.
We treasure this relationship that is going to be engendered today, even though there's been an existing good relationship between the Republic of Ghana and the Republic of Sierra Leone. But especially this today, which is in the oil and gas sector, we feel it's a great opportunity and that it's going to open new doors for the Petroleum Directorate and GNPC to learn from each other's experiences. Ghana, like you mentioned, has been in the exploration, production of oil and gas for quite a time now. It means you've learned your bad experiences, you've seen the industry in good times and in bad times. And we also have a taste of bad times in the industry and as well as very flourishing times. Where we are right now as a sector, we have taken a very strategic move to restructuring the way business is done in the oil and gas sector in Sierra Leone by first revitalizing the sector. We have, over the period of time, over about 6-7 months ago, we started an industry consultation, meeting national oil companies and the international oil community alike, which has now formed a new strategy that the Petroleum Directorate is unfolding. As you are aware, we have a bid round that is ongoing, and our strategy is being praised to being very much pragmatic and competitive, and so we're looking forward to having a very successful bid round.
At the new producers group in Ghana in 2018, both the head of the Ghana National Petroleum Company and the Petroleum Directorate agreed to enter into a binary relationship to bring together industry players from across the continent, which includes international oil companies, national oil companies, oil and gas service companies, independent oil companies, and gas financiers, regulators, and industry commentators, amongst other stakeholders, to discuss trends, innovation, and strategies towards maintaining a lead in the volatile oil and gas sector. Timothy Kabar is an oil and gas professional with stronger educational background in oil and gas engineering, leadership management, and strategy combined with verifiable success in oil and gas industry. He's pretty much familiar with the challenges in the oil and gas industry.
We're definitely right now, we're all under the single treasury account.
but the PD generates income through surface rental licenses, through the sale of data and other, legal commitments when companies have licenses operating in this country.
The government of Sierra Leone is currently undertaking the country's fourth licensing round, leveraging the investment of oil and gas exploration companies in the sector. For Star News in Freetown, I am Sienna Wright reporting.
Thank you so much, Sienna Wright, for reading that report. Let me come over to Mr. Kanu. Mr. Kanu, I'm pretty much keen to know the binary relationship with government institution in handling climate change.
Yeah.
We've seen where the Ministry of Agriculture has a role to play. The EPA, as I'm talking to you, the executive chairperson for EPA, Professor Fudi Jawad, is all over the country trying to lure in farmers to move away from the traditional way of farming to what we refer to as smart farming.
Smart approach.
Smart approach. And all of those things, in my view, or perhaps in the views of many people, is ideal enough to mitigate some of this effect. But the coordinating role is pretty much challenging.
Yeah, this is...
We should, as a nation, not allow things to happen before we come in what many refer to as that fire brigade way of response.
Yeah, true.
We must be able to put measures in place that now the prediction is out, the focus is out.
Focus is out.
The fear about August and September is there. What will happen? We don't know as a nation. What will they do?
So the issue of, let me talk about the smart approach you are talking about.
Yes.
To be honest with you, it's not about you talking to the farmers of doing smart approach, but are the farmers getting the right climate information as to the time they're supposed to do planting?
Are the journalists reporting adequately?
Correctly.
To change your mindset.
To change the mindset and attitude, in terms of attitude and behavioral change, you understand? So that's why we are still emphasizing on the need for a national platform. Let's have a national climate change council. But meanwhile, whilst we have other funding mechanisms hanging like the GCF, the Global Environmental Facility, the Global Environmental Fund, the Adaptation Fund. These are funding mechanisms hanging for us, you understand. But we can also generate revenue domestically. How are we going to do it? Now we are exporting timbers to China. You know, the issues of timber logging is growing day by day, but we can do it sustainably. But I really want to use this opportunity to thank the government of Sierra Leone for trying to do a massive reform into the sector, because over the past years we don't have an agency to actually look at this, but this particular government have created an agency particularly to look at the transaction in the timber industry, but they still have some issues to look at. The issues of creating the Sierra Leone Climate Change Fund, which is going to be an emergency readiness fund. We need not to wait for China. We need not to wait for United States of America for them to support us for disaster response. Let's have a Sierra Leone Climate Change Fund where we will tax 5% from each container that is being transported to China. We'll put it in that fund. Now, the government was talking about 13,000 containers being exported to China at a rate of $5,000 United States dollars. So, if we can take 5% of that $5,000, put it in the Sierra Leone Climate Change Fund, we'll tax also into the petroleum industry, like per liter. Take just 1% for every liter that is being purchased in those petrol stations, or put it in the Sierra Leone Climate Change Fund. Why we need that emergency response fund? In countries like Kenya, they have the model of that readiness emergency response readiness fund. The fund will be there. Although we are waiting for the funds from the adaptation, the GCF and the JEF, but we can generate revenue domestically. The issues of the sand and stone mining is also an industry. I am referring to that industry as a cartel industry. To be honest with you, that industry have not been looked at. There's no policy to regulate the sand and stone mining. That industry is generating over 100 million per day. But the NRA has a big role to play into all of this. When once we have the policy to regulate that sector, then we try to register point of contact between those areas, like the John Ube community, the Hamilton. Understand? People that will be responsible for this issue. And let's also be doing it sustainably, because there is a challenge of the sea level rise change, especially for people that are living within those coastal lines. So once we have contact points, then the NRA will be taxing them. These are all ways that we can generate funds, but we've also taken into cognizance that we have to do it sustainably, because now we are talking about the beach areas, they are shrinking, and sea level rise is happening. Flooding activities are happening within those areas. People have been suffering from all of this impact. So because now as we speak, the local councils are actually receiving the funds for these guys. But I'm still emphasizing that the government need to pay attention into that industry. That industry is a cartel industry. It's comprised of big funds in this country, to be honest with you. So let's try to regularize. If we try to regulate that industry, so we can have point of contact that we know now that these people are responsible for all of these activities, then the government will tax them. It's a way also to generate funds. It's a way also to strengthen our mechanism to respond to the issues.
While you were talking, something really comes to mind. I hosted somebody here yesterday in the studio, Edmond Muni. He's the executive director for an organization known as Track Build.
Track Build.
Track Build, yes. He's doing a kind of aerial data gathering in terms of where you want to construct your house, having a settlement pretty much ideal for humans, and also predicting dangers on climatic change and all of those things. So I am saying it's about capacity building, encouraging ours, just like what Fadil is saying. We doesn't care much paying millions of dollars just to have an expert from the States or the UK to come here to do a job that the ordinary Sierra Leonean, I will not even say ordinary, that the Sierra Leonean have the potential to actually perform. Even creating websites. Let's begin to look at let's begin to modernize through the use of ICT. For instance, you go down to have you visited during this wet season? Have you visited the Susan's Bay and Kobe?
The Susan's Bay, yeah. So they are actually suffering.
So we are saying, as over the years, has the government been paying lip service to all of these things, or it's about a lack of political will to address all of these challenges?
Oh, to be honest with you, the political will is there, but this is what I've been saying.
How can that be justified?
We've signed to the Paris Accord. We've developed the NAP. We've developed the NDC.
Well, if you fail to implement all of these things,
but
we realize your commitment.
This is our role as civil society to recommend. Now we are recommending to the government of Australia to look at all of these recommendations for them to take action.
Is the advocacy really driven towards getting their attention?
To be honest with you, our advocacy is purely focused on getting the attention of the government for them to do the work they're supposed to do. The political will be there, but people who are in position of trust, especially agencies, should be proactive enough to work for the development of this country. But we also have a problem of these issues of plastic. To be honest with you, the Saturday days of cleaning is not sustainable. The government I really want to thank the president. You understand? He has a very good vision, but we can rebrand that vision to be sustainable. How are we going to do it? Now we are talking about unemployment rate. You understand? Let's try to create a cutting-edge industry. Forget about the tricycles. You giving out tricycles to youth. It's not sustainable. The youth cannot take care of those tricycles. If we have a cutting-edge industry that's going to do what we call recycling of this plastic, because now we only have 2 dump sites, and those dump sites have been overfilled. So if we have a landfill site at least 3 miles away from Freetown, then we'll have the cutting-edge industry. We are not going to give this youth cash. We are not going to support them with tricycles, but we are going to buy instruments, because if you think, for example, the government is spending about 3 billion per month. Multiply that by 12. It's 36 billion. It's enough to buy recycle machines. So we can recycle, and it's going to create jobs for over 2,000 youths that will be employed. So these are all strategies that we have to consider. But to be honest with you, we are still, cleaning the environment, but we are still dumping them again within the same environment, because we don't have a landfill site. So these are all recommendations that we want the government of Australia to please pay attention to, because the rise of climate change is actually there, and we are the third most vulnerable country in the whole world. Okay. And we have to be proactive enough to tackle the menace of climate change.
Well, I dare say the question goes to those political advisors. What are you doing with our president's guys? Are you advising His Excellency the President in the right way that will ensure the growth trajectory in the development of this country? People should step up. All those things require a kind of technical advice.
That's right.
What is required as a nation to go, how we should move forward. Not just a question of occupying State House, doing a lot of talkings and all the rest of it. Let me come to you. Let's talk serious issues on ICT. Now you taking this to be a kind of career forum where you help some of your colleagues to actually pay attention on ICT. Give us a clear insight as to the importance of it in nation building.
ICT is very, very, very important. Now, to start with, there is nowhere that nothing that you can do without ICT. I can tell you for now. ICT in the nation is very, very important compared to any other thing that you can look at. To start with, because of there is an ICT implementations, some things are going on effectively. Now, based on the technological aspect, in those days, even if you want to make a call, you want to make some other things, it will take you a time. But there are some developers, they say no. ICT, it can overcome whatever you think you can spend more money. But ICT, if you are studying ICT here, you might have been somebody that has a kind of perseverance. Honestly, if you don't have perseverance, there's no way that you can go through it. Looking at IPAM almost we are paying 5 million studying ICT or studying information system or information technology. There is a lot of challenges.
Are you not on government grant?
No.
Are you on government grant?
No, I'm not. I applied last year, but
no way.
But I'm still on it. I will try how best. Maybe to final years I'll be granted, but I'm on it.
Okay.
But last year I was unable to grant it. So ICT, really, our own team that we want to build up at IPAM, we want to ensure the nation that will be above that. Even David Senga is doing greatly, but our target is not to be David Senga, but to be above him. What he's doing, he's doing great, but our own motive is to be above him, because now coming Saturday or tomorrow we are going to have some lecturers that are telling our colleagues their career path. If you are in information system, they will tell you that okay, you are going to embark in about so modules to ensure that you become a good developer. If you are in information technology, there are some modules that you are going to embark in so that you become a good networker. Okay. So that Mr. Abraman, if you want to take somebody to create a website for Star TV, I don't think that he can go out there to bring somebody to do that. You can go to IPAM, which is from
Information System Society. Available.
We are already available. We have a team, and we ensure that we build up the nation and we're backing up on ICT as a nation.
So, Falu, tell me, what's the anticipated outcome of this conference or seminar, if you choose to call it?
We'll be there to orientate our colleagues, because we still have our colleagues that they have somehow a myopic thinking. They think that even though we tell them something that is good for them, but some people think that what he knows is a better thing for him. So we'll be having lecturers to tell them that what we have been telling them is the fact. We have been telling them that all sorts of message that we have been giving them is a fact. Now tomorrow you'll be seeing lecturers telling you that, oh, gentlemen, if you are doing social areas and backing up of this, and we have been telling them we are assisting people that are in year one. We have our own, like the acting president for information system for now. He assisted us. If today somebody is talking about a web design, talking about another things, he assisted us. He is not the one that he taught us, but he created a platform that we can be successful based on what we are there to study. So this information system society is really doing well for information system and technology departments. So that is why we are calling upon all the members or the students of departments of information system or technology to ensure that be there so that the program will start.
Okay. Don Bosco Family, one of the leading organizations in child protection, has on Thursday 11 July 2019 launched a nationwide campaign titled "Enough is Enough" to stop child abuse and the unfair treatment meted out for members of the public. Admire Samai has details of this report.
The director, Don Bosco Family, George Christopherly, has said that as an organization, they are deeply concerned about the high rate of child abuse, early marriage, teenage pregnancy, and child prostitution, among others. It's alarming in the country. He further stated that, despite government and other agencies' efforts to curb this menace, which from January to December 2018, the Sierra Leone Police and the Family Support Unit recorded nationwide 2,726 cases for sexual penetration.
We protect girls who are pregnant during the pregnancy and immediately after the pregnancy until 6 months before we reunify them with their families, biological or extended families. These numbers, we thank very much to the Family Support Unit. There was a mistake in one paper that we sent before. I would like to correct that because it was a misunderstanding because I want to send out the paper that said that almost 12,000 cases of sexual penetration. No, the numbers are like this: 12,000 cases reported to the Family Support Unit. Of these cases, there were 9,377 domestic cases, domestic violence cases. And look the number, because that is what we would like to show to you. That is the point of major concern for Don Bosco and so many other agencies, NGOs, the government and the family support units. 2,549 cases in 2017 of sexual penetration. That means sexual abuse of minors. If you come to 2018, look, the cases reported to the family support unit, 11,168. Meanwhile, 2,726 cases of sexual penetration. Meanwhile, if we come to 2019, in the first 3 months, that is the latest data that Family Support Unit gave to us, we have already 963 cases reported to the Family Support Unit. So that means if this trend continues, at the end of the year, we will have almost 4,000 cases of sexual penetration. Maybe the emergency launched by the President encourage people to come out and to report more cases.
One of the victims of child abuse, Marion Calon, said at the age of 13 years, her father gave her and a twin brother to the wife of his friend because their mother was insane and she was never sent to school. She got married to the eldest son, which age was 14 years old. During that period, he had sexual intercourse with her in several occasions and later sold her to a Guinea woman for $5 million.
Me, at the age of 13 years, I decided for a charcoal. And a boy picking when they deport from France, can't talk say he wants me. And he and mama make the marriage. And then at the house, get that with me. They get true sex with me. And then at the house, people, when I'm like a friend, they laugh me. And the people say, we go police. We go take the case na police. And the one way do the marriage when them Chiyan take me na Guinea and go sell me $5 million. And the woman where I be there to na Guinea named Asata. And I be there and they do hard work and they attire. He tell me say him buy me and I for work for Amina is slave.
Representing the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender, Children Affairs, the Director of Children's Affairs, Joyce Camara, said the ministry is working with Don Bosco Family and the Law Department in order to stop child abuse in the country, and that anyone caught abusing a child sexually or physically should be imprisoned for life.
As a ministry, we have to request the importance of putting such a legislation or strategy in place for the protection and promotion of children. For example, of course, we all know about the Child Rights Act that is in place, and most of the structures we have been working really to implement it. Of course, we all know there's the National Commission.
For Star TV News in Freetown, I am Adma Samai reporting.
Thanks to my colleague Adma Samai for putting that report together. Zakano, we don't seem to be having much time left.
Yeah.
What will be some of your recommendations, and what will you tell the general public how to behave as we approach August and September, for which the forecast is pretty much there in terms of the rainy season?
My recommendation to the general public that if you know you are living within areas that are prone to disaster, or you have been faced with flooding, you have to start moving now. Because where we are going deep into the rains, from August to that of September, is going to be massive. And climatologically, it's two years. Now, first we experienced it 2017, so we are expecting it again because from the projection of the forecast. But also, I really want to thank the government for the support to the Sierra Leone Meteorological Agency. But that agency still needs support. There are a lot of challenges because there's no way you can talk about mitigating or fighting climate change when you don't have reliable climate data information. You know, information is key. So that agency lacked the requisite technology to do the forecasting. They don't have the human resource to actually do the work.
Well,
so
well,
if
the
government...
the question is why say thanks to the government when in the views of many people that agency is either dead or dying?
No, I mean thanks to the sense that because this is the first time that agency has been supported with 1.3 billion. The other years it has been 300 million, 200 million. You understand?
I can understand the point you're coming.
I understand. So
a huge gratification.
True. So for effective service delivery to the end users, that agencies need to be supported more. You understand? Because now as we speak, they don't even have automatic weather stations to do effective and reliable climate forecast. So the people the people of this country will be well off as to the time, the hour, the minute that disaster is going to strike. So let the government of Australia invest in the meteorological agency for the new direction to succeed.
I will give you this platform. Let's break procedures. I will give you this platform. For our friends, our relatives, brothers and sisters who be Susan's be those prone areas, will you talk to them in Creole to tell them that August and September has been forecast to be a very delicate period for this country?
Yeah, me family, especially when they live in areas where prone to disaster. The forecast, what do you mean by forecast? The science man them don't see the rate at which the rain they come this year. They don't project, they don't see them before it get for happen. Say heavy downpour of rain they come when I will call them late. They come quick because we don't see now the dries and the rains with the 6 months would they expect another again. For this year, the forecast on the out say would they experience late heavy rain. So if you know, say you're in an area where prone, that pro what you mean that always you the face with flooding. You need for staff for the move now. Because this is our responsibility. You better get a responsibility. Wanna put everything on government. Wanna get a rule for play. So if you know also say you know they pack you dirty well and you also you need for fan bag for me they put them because then dirty away they make it they block the waterways. Also in the able now a triggering effect for me cause what to call flooding. So you got to change your attitude and the government of Salone they are on a lot strategize. Because when this thing will happen, we know because the president so focused for create jobs, for economic reforms. But it will be distracted if disaster happen. Exactly. You understand? Because the president will focus, but when disaster happen, you understand, it will be distracted and in approach them for ensure say we'll go all get a country where we like win a Salone.
Okay. The final word. Your call for more collaboration.
Yeah,
we are other students from other universities invited into this forum, like Frabe College and Jela University. ICT students.
Well, the president, because of you know that now if you are without finance, some of those things it will take you it to be very difficult.
So there are
for
financial
you.
constraints.
There is financial constraints. So if you're inviting somebody, need a refreshment, need something that light food, so on and so forth. Even what we'll be doing within ourselves is something that is not there's no refreshment, but it's something that is very, very important for us who will be there. If we are inviting somebody, you might be expecting something like refreshment. So being that there is some amount of a financial constraint, so we'll keep it aside.
Okay.
But we assure you that after this one, the other ones will be doing that to try for invite Frabi College, Jala University, even Unimark, so on and so forth. But for now, we are not going to do that because of the financial constraint. There's nothing right now in the fund.
Okay. I want to thank both of you, Amara Salami Kanu, Executive Director, Climate Change Forum Network, and also Musa Fadido, the IS Society of IPAM. We're looking forward to you guys having a very conclusive conference on ICT that will inform the pathway for development and growth trajectory in the country.
Yeah.
And I hope your call will get the attention of the government.
True.
Because of the basic consideration is, as a government, you owe your people a duty of care.
Yeah.
Don't allow the uneventuality to occur before you start to address all of those issues.
Right.
Sierra Leone in 2014 going to 2015 was a booming economy, not until the Ebola epidemic and the mudslide combined that undermined the economic development and growth trajectory of this country. So in as much as the president is in restless readiness to actually see this nation boom economically through capital and human development, there are basic measures the government should actually take to ensure that we don't slide back to where we are. Till then, I want to say thank to all of you, and we expect a new presenter next week. I have been for this week. My name is Abdul Rahman Kamara. Have a wonderful Friday.